Hello friends! Welcome back to my channel. I believe that it's day 11 of Veda. So today we have a very chill wrap-up video. In the month of July, I read the least amount of books that I have all year. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up bell, subscribe to my channel because you don't want to miss a single day of Veda or any other video after that. If this is correct, I only have 16 books here, which is not very many for the month for me. Usually I read more 25 to 35 a month. But July was a struggle. Okay, let me go grab my computer and we can see how accurate this is. Okay, so I finished 15 books and I DNF'd 5. If you've already seen my August TBR, then you know that I DNF'd almost every single book that was on my July TBR. So that's where we're at right now. We DNF'd more books in July than we have all year. So I'm just gonna go in order of when I read them. So the first book that I read in July was The Ravens by Cass Morgan and Danielle Page. You know, yeah. This surprisingly was one of my favorite books of the month. It might make it on my favorites of the year. Okay, so in this, you follow this sorority of witches, and dark forces are at play. One witch or unhuman entity is killing college students, and it's like this mystery that these sorority girls, who are also witches in like a coven, more like, investigate these murders. And it was such a good time. So you have sisterhood, you have friends, I would say found family, then you have wicked magic, dark magic against light magic, and I found out this is the first in a series. I think it's going to be a duology. The next one comes out next year, and you know I'm going to be first in line to buy it. The next book that I read in July was The Family Upstairs by Lisa Jewell. I recently read And Then She Was Gone by Lisa Jewell, which I thought was kind of a predictable, fast-paced, atmospheric thriller that, yeah, it was predictable, but I actually really enjoyed reading that. So I was like, you know what? Let's read Lisa Jewell's other book. And man, I was severely disappointed by this book. Thinking about it, it hasn't even been a month since I read it, and I cannot remember anything about it. I did not care for this. I think I gave it 2 stars. The next one I listened to on audio, which was Survive the Night by Riley Sager. I've heard really good reviews and really bad reviews of this book. I enjoyed Survive the Night. It's this road trip thriller about this girl who is basically dropping out of college because her best friend was murdered. So she is getting a ride on this rideshare board to go back home, but it's this isolated thriller. This guy that she's in the car with starts giving off creepy vibes, and it was very atmospheric. I love Riley Sager's writing. I appreciate how he can write a scene and make me feel like I'm there and be scared, and, you know, just very atmospheric. However, I did not love the plot. I liked the side characters more than I liked the main character, which isn't a problem necessarily, but I feel like you have to be rooting for the main character, and honestly, I wasn't. And I just thought that the storyline could have been stronger. So ultimately, I gave it 4 stars. All of Riley Sager's books are 4 or 5 stars for me. So I think that puts, in order of Riley Sager's books, I think Survive the Night is number 4 for me. The next one is 6 Years by Harlan Coben. Oh, and I read this in a reading blog, so I'll link it up here. This disappointed the heck out of me as well. So, just so you know, all of these, well, not all of them, but a good chunk of these disappointed me. So, we're going to be negative Nelly today. Sorry, but that's just how it is. So, 6 Years by Harlan Coben. This disappointed me because you follow this guy whose name is Jack, and he watches his ex-girlfriend marry someone else, and she makes him promise to leave her alone. And 6 years later, he sees an obituary for her husband in the paper, and of course he has to hunt her down. And like, I just think this whole story is pointless. Like, I'm sorry, first off, she's your ex-girlfriend. She clearly doesn't want anything to do with you if she married someone else and then told you to leave her alone. And then you just track her down after 6 years. And honestly, reading this book was like, okay, maybe if it was the love of your life, maybe I could see that. But judging the relationship, I did not feel any love towards each other or towards either of the characters. I didn't care about them. And from what I can tell, you don't really get that much of a backstory. From what I can tell, they weren't together that long. And it just made no sense. So I hated that book. I actually gave 6 years only 1 star because just no. The next one was an ebook. It is Night of the Mannequins by Stephen Graham Jones. This one was a shock to me. I gave it 5 stars, okay? So, not negative on this one. This one surprised the heck out of me because it's a short story. It's like 200 pages or less than 200, I think. But all I knew about it before going in to it was that you follow this group of teenage friends who like to play pranks on each other. So one day they take this mannequin that they used to play with as kids to one of the girls' jobs. She works at the movie theater, and they put the mannequin in there, and then like when everyone left and he was the only one remaining, their friend was gonna go in and clean the theater and be scared. But then the mannequin gets up and leaves the movie theater. and then creepy stuff starts happening. That is very, very accurate, but there's more to it than that. So if you're a little hesitant on this one like I was, because the sound of a killer mannequin going around killing people just kind of makes you feel weird, don't be scared. It was terrifying and such a great book. I can't tell you any more than that because it's such a short book and it would be spoilers, but please take my word that Night of the Mannequins by Stephen Graham Jones is so good. I haven't read a lot by this author. I've read a few things, but this is by far my favorite. Then I finally read Still Missing by Chevy Stevens. I'm going to talk about my DNFs at the end because I literally was working on them all month long and I just could not do it. So, Still Missing by Chevy Stevens. I had such high hopes for this. I think I gave this one 1 star. I almost DNF'd this so many times. But basically you follow this woman named Annie who is a realtor. She's closing up her open house to go home when this van pulls up and she's like, oh, a last minute customer, or a last minute client. And instead of coming to check out the house, the guy in the car kidnaps her and holds her hostage for a year. And this is her journey during that year, what happened. This guy was sick, so know that going into it. Trigger warnings for like everything. Chevy Stevens has a writing style that kind of reminds me of Karen Slaughter in the fact that they are both terrifying and gruesome and gory. I actually think I gave this 2 stars because I liked part of it and I liked being terrified for the parts of her being held hostage. So you basically follow Annie several months after this incident when she's going to a therapist, and through her therapy sessions you kind of get what happened to her. It was twisted and dark. However, Chevy Stevens has used this plot device. It's this part of the plot that I can't talk about that, doesn't really do anything for the movement of the story. And I feel like she's done it in both books that I've read by her. And I just honestly wonder if she's like a one-trick pony in the aspect of that I'm thinking about that I can't tell you about. And like, I'm kind of just over it. I do want to try, I think I have 2 more books by this author on my TBR, and maybe I'll do like a reading vlog of Chevy Stevens books to see if she's really an author that I like. Let me know in the comments below if that's something you would want to see. But I really did not like this. I can't remember if I gave it 1 or 2 stars. I did give it 2 stars, but I'm not sure if it deserves a 2nd star. This, Catch Me If You Can by Frank W. Abagnale, is a nonfiction about this con man who spent his youth and early 20s conning a lot of different people. He was a doctor, he was a pilot, he forged a lot of checks and stuff, and it also talked about his life in prison because he went to different countries and different countries have different prisons. It was really good. I don't rate nonfiction. I enjoyed it. I probably won't ever reread read it. But this was on my July TBR. I actually got the TBR jar, and this was what I picked. I want to watch the movie now. I know that there's a really big movie with Tom Hanks and Leonardo DiCaprio that I've never seen, and I would love to watch that at some point. It was a easy nonfiction to get into. Was yet another disappointing read. This is All Is Not Forgotten by Wendy Walker. So, this follows Jenny, who is at a party. She's in high school. She's at a party when she gets raped. And this is the aftermath of that rape. I take those things very seriously. It's not something you can take lightly. And it trigger warnings for everything. But after she is raped, the doctors give her this medicine that is supposed to make her forget everything that happened that night. And she's not forgetting. The thing is that you never actually get Jenny's perspective. You get the therapist, you get the mom, you get the dad, and you get a couple other perspectives. I just feel like it was too many perspectives that were not her. She was not being able to tell her story. You were like once removed from the story, and you were getting what this person heard or what this person saw, but not what Jenny was feeling and not the pain that she was going through. And I know that sounds horrible, but when I read these, I want to be like smacked in the heart or like punched in the gut with feeling, and it just didn't do it for me. I think I gave this one a 1 star. Was my most anticipated book of the entire year. My most anticipated thriller, The Maidens by Alex Michaelides. I read The Silent Patient by Alex Michaelides last year. That engulfed my soul. I stayed up all night to finish The Silent Patient. The Silent Patient is a 5-star read, and I definitely recommend it. So I thought, oh, Alex Michaelides, his next book is gonna be wonderful. Wrong. This is dark academia, murder, mystery, mythology, and all that combined sounds pretty dang good, but nothing happens. It's I can't even tell you what happened because nothing happens. And the characters are kind of really unlikable. I did not like any of the characters. I see no redeeming factor in this book, which it really sucks because it was my most anticipated book of the year. I gave it 1 star. I would have given it 0 if that was possible. Next, I was feeling very slumpy as far as my reading went because I hated every single thing I was reading. I was DNFing left and right and left. And, like I said, my reading month was just not good. So I needed something to make me feel better. So for the 3rd time this year, I read The Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren. So I physically read this, then I listened to it on audio, back to back in April, and now it's August, and, in July, I kind of listened to part of it and read other parts, but Honeymooners is like the perfect romance novel. You follow Olive, who is Amy's identical twin sister, and Amy is getting married to Ethan, I believe. No. Ethan's brother. I forget his name. But Amy is getting married, and she won a honeymoon. She won the entire wedding. She basically won everything for free. So, everyone at the wedding party gets food poisoning. And Amy has a non-refundable plane ticket to Hawaii and like entire honeymoon to Hawaii, and they can't change it or anything. So Amy says Olive should go, and you know, she gives one ticket to Olive and one ticket to her husband's brother named Ethan. And Olive and Ethan hate each other. So it's enemies to lovers. They fall in love when they're fake, when they're pretending to be a fake married couple on a fake honeymoon. And it's just so good. There's the banter between them, the chemistry that just flies off the page. Oh. And it's like the perfect summer read too. I read 5 more books. This is the second book that was on my Bookopoly that I actually read. The rest of them were DNFs. This is My Girlfriend's Boyfriend by Aloyda Strain. This was a perfectly fine book, but if I'm being completely honest with you, go watch the movie. The book was written after the movie, so they made the movie and then they wrote the book, and you can tell the movie's better. I might just have to say that because that's freaking Phoebe. That's Alyssa Milano, and she's amazing. It's like a romantic comedy. The movie's way better. I think I gave this one 2 stars. I did. I gave this one 2 stars. It's fine. It might even be like a 2.5 for me. It's fine, but just watch the movie. I filmed my August TBR very early, so I actually had enough time to read both poll picks because they tied with 1 vote each. By the way, go follow me on Instagram so you can vote on polls. I was certain that I was going to hate this book. I was not excited to read this book because I've read several things by this author, and most of them are DNFs for me. But Gabby from Gabby Reads really likes this particular book by this author, even though she doesn't like anything else by this author. So I had to try it. That's The Turn of the Key by Ruth Ware. This is a thriller horror about this nanny who gets a job at this rich, wealthy family's house, and creepy stuff happens, and then the nanny gets arrested. Okay, so you follow the nanny. I forget her name. Is it Lori? Rowan. So you follow Rowan, who is already in prison for killing one of the kids that she looks after as a nanny. And she's writing to this attorney to get him to be her attorney. And then you kind of go back in time and she's telling this attorney what actually happened, and can you believe her? Is she lying? is she telling the truth? And she's being framed, or there's a haunting, or there's a lot of wars. But I can't tell you anything. All I can tell you is best twist I have ever read in a thriller. Does that mean this is my favorite thriller? No, but best twist I have ever read. And then it's like towards the end, it's like twist after twist after twist, and it's like, oh my god, this is on God tier, like God tier of thrillers. I should do a tier ranking video. But I've never liked a Ruth Ware book. I was very, very scared to read this, and I'm sorry I waited so long. I read One of Us Is Next by Karen M. McManus. This is the sequel to One of Us Is Lying. I gave it 3 stars. It was fine. It was a YA truth or dare gone deadly game. I didn't care for the characters. I couldn't even remember who was who, and it's a shame because it's so pretty. I did ultimately enjoy it somewhat, so I gave it 3 stars, but One of Us Is Lying should have been a standalone. Before we get to my DNFs, we have 2 3-star books. This Savage Song by Victoria Schwab. This is actually a lot of fun. It has music as a weapon. It has monsters, and it kind of shows that even if you're a monster, maybe you don't always have to be a monster, because there are choices we make that can determine if you're good or not. And like, I guess I like those kind of books that just tug at your heartstrings, and it's kind of like, okay, yeah, everyone labels him as a monster. Everyone says that he's a monster, and for all intents and purposes, he is a monster. But he's a monster that tries to fight every day, to not be a scary monster, to not eat people, and to not be bad. He tries every single day to prove that he can be good. And honestly, it was so beautiful. Not beautiful enough for me to want to continue on with the series, because I didn't love the love story, and I didn't love one of the main characters, but overall the message and the tone of the story is so good. Our last one, the last book I read in July was Long Bright River by Liz Moore. I went into this knowing absolutely nothing other than that it was a thriller. Oh, here's Bella. Bella's never here, so here she is. Okay. Break. Bella, break. Okay, bye, Bella. I went into Long Bright River not knowing much other than that there's some kind of sister mystery and that it's a thriller. I don't think it's a thriller. I think it is more of a literary suspense. It's very slow burn. It's very character driven. But you follow this cop. And usually I don't like cop stories. But you follow this cop. Okay, so Mickey is looking for her sister, Casey, who went missing. She kind of went down the wrong path. She started doing drugs and prostituting, and her sister has been looking for her for a long time. And you follow Mickey trying to find her sister, and you also see how her life got to the point that it's at, and how Casey's life got to the point that it's at through flashbacks. I enjoyed this a lot. By all means, I should hate this because it's character driven. It's slow. Slower than slow. A snail walks faster than this freaking book goes. But I really enjoyed it. And it follows a cop's perspective, which, like, no, I like that in my TV shows, but not my books. This was very good. I gave it 4 stars. I have my 3 DNFs for the month of July, which is weird. I thought it was more than 3. I know, 3 is a lot, but I thought it was 5. Adorkable by Cookie O'Gorman. I have been reading this book for more than a year. I'm not going to finish it. It was on my TBR for Bookopoly. I just generally don't care about YA romance anymore. I think I've outgrown it. It's got fake dating. It's friends to lovers. So far, it's very cute, but I'm not going to finish it. And if I do, I have it on Kindle. So, okay, this one hurts. Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. I recently read 6 of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. It was an okay story, but I have a hard time with Leigh Bardugo's writing style. She has a very, I don't want to say whimsical writing style, but if you've ever read Leigh Bardugo, then you know she has her own tone. She has her own signature writing style, and it's not for everyone. And it's not for me. I think I only made it 80 pages in, so I can't really tell you what it's about. It's a dark academia murder mystery, and that sounds right up my alley, but I cannot with Leigh Bardugo. I just can't. And then the last one hurts even more than Ninth House. I'm so sorry. I am sorry. The Thousandth Floor by Catherine McGee. Catherine McGee wrote the American Royals duology, and I loved American Royals. But honestly, you follow a bunch of snotty, rich, young adult, or snotty, rich teenagers who just want to party it up in elite New York in 2118, so 100 years from now. I didn't care about a single one of the characters, and I really didn't care about reading their partying ways, and like nothing happens with the storyline. Okay, that's not true. Someone dies, and they're investigating to see if it was a suicide or if someone killed her. But like I said, I didn't care about any of the characters, so I didn't care. And it was terrible because I made it 200 pages. I made it like 255 pages into this one, and I really, really, really wanted to love it, but I didn't. And you know what? That's okay. If you stuck around through this whole video, I thank you so much. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up bell and subscribe to my channel so you don't miss a day of Veda. But July was my worst reading month in terms of how many books I read, and they were all very lousy ratings except for a couple surprises. just forgive me for this terrible reading month. Let's hope that August is better.